Good, my voice. Good morning, Grinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka Blender HD. You're gonna follow me on Twitter, and it's Monday, May 1st. You know what we do on Mondays? It's Mondays with McCool. I'm joined by James McCool, the co-author, the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, as well as the Theory of DFS for Advanced Players, with his custom Excel tools that I do show on this program quite often enough. So go pick those up at theoryofdfs.com. Hit that thumbs up button in the morning, right? Wake us up. Wake us up by slamming, smashing, and hitting the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell. Good morning, everyone in the chat. And good morning, James. Apparently, it's your birthday today.
It is my birthday. Yeah, I'm 31 today. So I don't know. It's not like a super exciting birthday. I mean, like after you turn 25, all of the like exciting birthdays are gone, I guess.
25? Like, what's the difference between your 23rd birthday and 24th birthday?
It is the last birthday where something changes in the way that you can act in society and that you can then rent a car.
Oh, yeah, you're right. 25 is I mean, you can rent the car under 25, but you need like additional documentation.
Right. So 25 is like the last birthday where there's like a societal change, I guess.
No, how about 35?
What happens at 35?
Now you could run for president.
Oh, no. Okay, that's right. That's true. Yeah, okay.
Because you currently at 31 years old cannot run for the president of the United States.
That is true. So, okay, that is something to look forward to. I didn't think about that.
So put that on your bucket list for the next 4 years, because you're not going to be able to do it. Or not the other way. You whatever you were planning on this. I know, James, you were planning on running in the next election, but you can't.
That's well, I mean, now maybe that should be the goal. Let's try to run for president when I'm 35, since that's the next societal change in birthday. Yeah. So
how about 62?
Is that when you can get? Is that Social Security?
Social Security or your Roth IRA? You could get money out of it without a penalty or something.
Okay.
There's others.
I guess there are scales. Yeah, you're right. I guess. Okay, so
50 is the double AARP. You can't be a member of AARP until you're 50.
Yeah, so I guess what I should have said is that 25 is the last like clustered one, right? Because like then you get something at 35 and 50 and 62, but like those are spread out. It's so much farther away than the other ones. So but yeah, I'm 31 today. I don't think that we have too many things planned. Maybe we'll go to Topgolf. I like going to Topgolf, but like I'm not really a presents guy. I'm not really a material gifts kind of guy. So I told Margaret the most important thing that somebody can give me is just like not to rely on me for anything. that's the biggest gift.
No, I on my birthday. My birthday was a little over a month ago, March 29th.
Yep.
Like you don't need to get me anything. Like we don't need to sell it. We don't even need to acknowledge it exists. But if you'd like to get me a present, how about just leave me alone? Like am I able to just have that day? Just whatever I do. Just as long as I'm left alone, I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's just about like it's funny. People like Jordan and I, some people like want. I don't know. Some guys want like a grill or
anything that I want, I would have bought myself already.
Sure. Yeah. That's kind of how I am too, right? Like I don't really like gifts don't really mean much to me in the material sense because I just get whatever I want. It doesn't really matter. But people like Jordan and I were just like, yeah, if we can have an entire day where we can do literally anything that we want to do that does not involve the thoughts and opinions of other people. That's the day.
That's most of my days anyway.
So
a lot of times that's exactly what I want anyway, even though it's my birthday. It's like, right. All the other days, I just want one of those days again.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I'm with you.
My wife, I don't know, James, if your wife told you, like she had my wife make you cookies that aren't going to be there in time.
Well, she didn't tell me what they were, but now I'm pretty excited for it.
Okay. Because, my wife is now like does designer cookies and stuff.
Yeah, and she's in cahoots with Margaret. I know.
Right.
Like,
And
yeah,
I don't understand. The cookies are cards, like playing.
I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited.
Now I understand why she was making all the threes as a card. Because basically she made threes and aces. I hope I'm not ruining it. But what did you want for your birthday? Nothing. So like I can't ruin anything by like
No.
These cookies are gonna come. I don't even know how good they're gonna taste, but whatever. But they're gonna. But there were all aces and threes, and I'm like, why aces? I didn't even ask my wife like why
the
aces.
thought that
It's
counts.
31, and then but the first thing my wife asks is like, does James play poker or something? I go, I don't think so.
I like poker. I don't get to play it enough. I don't have anybody to play poker with down here. I don't know where the poker rooms are.
There are underground ones, definitely.
I know there are. Like funny enough, like when we first moved here and we were getting our internet set up, our internet guy was talking about all the different underground games, and he like gave me his number. But at the time, I had just spent $26,000 to move across the country, and I didn't really have the funds to go play underground poker games. So now maybe I should find his number again.
You can go up to Metropolis, I think, in Kentucky. Then you go to Tunica.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You go there. I didn't know you played much poker, so I'm like, what are the playing cards for?
Yeah, I mean, I can play. I played blackjack for a long time, like that for like 3 years. That was like my income. Was playing blackjack.
So aces and threes are those.
I mean,
that doesn't help you in blackjack. No, I mean the threes definitely.
The three for sure does not help you blackjack, right. But the aces are pretty.
It's like happy birthday, James. Here's 14 or 4.
hey, happy birthday, James. Here's an offsuit 2-7. Offsuit 2-7. Here.
I don't know when you're getting. I don't know when you're getting them. I don't know if I don't know.
No, I mean
it was a bad idea to begin with.
It's what I when I was growing up, I would have a birthday week. So this is my birthday week.
Birthday week? How rich were you?
Oh no, we were very poor. That's why it was a birthday week, so that I wouldn't have to get any presents. It was just a week about me.
Okay, what would you do throughout the entire week?
So like my favorite dinner, like the treat dinner that I would get, were the frozen shrimps, like the frozen coconut shrimp. And I would have that like 2 times that week. And maybe we would go out to eat at Village Inn. That was like another special thing that we would do.
So it's like your birthday week is like Hanukkah.
I guess, yeah.
Like your birthday was only supposed to last for 1 day, and it lasted for 8.
and there was enough excitement to last for a full week.
Right.
Yeah, basically, I grew up like a poor Jewish child. Just get gefilte fish 3 times a week and go out.
What's gefilte fish? Get that and some horseradish. Ain't that bad?
That sounds terrible, George.
What? That's what I on Passover. When you go into a Passover Seder, and you gotta sit through like 3 hours of like. We heard this last year. Yeah, I get it. We don't need the history lesson again. Can we just eat? Can we not? Can we not for 3 hours eat in the span of like? Well, you could have a little piece. You could have a little piece of this leafy little piece of lettuce. That's all you got to say a prayer, and then there's you go. Now you have nothing else to eat for another 20 minutes, and now we lift up your glass and then put it down. It's like, why can't we just drink from it? What are we doing here? This is getting stupid. Then eventually, but eventually, once you get older, once your relatives get older, then finally they've had enough of the Passover Seder, where it's like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna like we'll do all of this all at once. Right? It's like, well, all these little steps. We're going to skip over the part. We're going to skip over the part where we were in the desert for 40 years. We're just going to go like previously on the last episode of the Seder. Right? It's like, okay, we've already gotten to that point. And then you can just go through all of it. And next thing you know, you're having a nice like turkey dinner in like 27 minutes. And it's like,
yeah, isn't that like a thing though in Jewish culture where like you practicing Jewish people end up kind of cutting some corners as things get older? I've heard that is a general thing. Like when you're a kid,
I think it's more the fact that Judaism in America, or like I mean, you find it here in the United States, but it's a less most most Jewish people aren't religious.
No, I know.
It's like
I know. That's
it's
what I'm
almost like a
saying.
cultural thing. It's like,
Yeah.
I really don't care that much about the religion, but like, oy vey, like that's like, we've gotten the Yiddish part of it. We've gotten like kind of like the like all the cultural aspects of, but it's like, oh, you're gonna go to the temple on high holy days? It's like, no. Why?
Well,
you ever go to Rosh Hashanah service? It's 4.5 hours long. Why? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Right?
That's funny. I mean, like, and it's kind of the same in other religions too, right? Like as you grow up, you maintain like the beliefs or whatever. You retain the
you maintain the good traditions.
Yeah, you hold on to the traditions that you actually care about and like improve your life. But then there are a whole bunch of other traditions where you're like, yeah, those exist, but that's for other people. That's not for me. I'm not that kind of Christian. I'm not that kind of Jew. I'm kind of more of a relaxed Christian. I celebrate Christmas and sometimes I go to church on Sunday when it benefits me, but not most of the time.
Like my wife gets a Christmas tree. Like now we have an artificial one or whatever.
Yeah.
Not because she's Christian, not because of anything. And I have no objection. Oh, she just likes decorating stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So it has nothing to do with Christianity of, this is the socially acceptable time for us, we can put a tree, even if it's a fake one, in our living room.
Mm-hmm.
This is the social, like if this was July, it would be like, why you have a tree in your living room? But no, this is the socially acceptable time that I can put a tree in and then spend the next 6 days decorating it and putting ornaments and making something and like, okay, it's there, and then leaving it there, and then admiring it for 3 weeks, and then eventually taking it down sometime in mid-February. Yep. Right, because you're just like, January 1st? No, okay, I'm too lazy for that.
Yeah, I'm not. You don't take it down until it feels socially unacceptable to have it.
Right. There you go.
And socially unacceptable to have a tree in your house is a very wide range. And it depends on where you live too, right? Like some people will have their Christmas tree down. Like if you're in a neighborhood that is very clean cut and like has a very strict HOA, right? Everybody's taking down their Christmas decorations on like January 2nd. Then you feel a little bit more societal pressure to take down your tree and have it out of there the first week of January. But then there are some people who have that tree up until like Veterans Day.
There's some people that still have the tree up currently from 2006.
They just never take it down. Just never took it down.
Robin asked me if I have a favorite Yiddish word. I'm not even sure what Yiddish words I know. I could just repeat stuff that my grandmother would say.
What's your favorite thing that your grandmother would say?
Kanena hara, poo poo poo.
What does that mean?
It's something like it means whatever. Like I don't even know. Like for crying out loud, or like some type of thing of like I hope not type of like, oh, you did so, oh, Kanena hara, poo poo poo. That's what she would say. And obviously you get all the stuff with the SCH and the schmucks and the schmiggles and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Is this what everyone wanted to tune into 15 minutes in?
15 minutes talking about birthdays and Jewish traditions.
Right. We're really breaking down the game theory and everything.
The game theory of birthdays. I had
But what's the game? No, to me, I play birthdays. I play all holidays or at gift giving holidays. I think I play optimal strategy.
What's your optimal strategy?
Okay, optimal strategy. Okay, let's talk about optimal strategy for like Christmases and like birthdays and everything like that. Okay, first off, I'm going to do it if you're a part of a couple. Okay. Optimal strategy for any gift giving holiday where you're going to be giving a gift, right? Is to just give your wife a budget and then don't ask questions.
Yep.
Just say, I don't care. Put my name on it. I don't even care if you put my name on it. I don't even care if you say, I'm giving you this gift and Jordan over here, he's a schmuck and I don't even care. Right. Because it doesn't matter to me. but I just don't let me think. I don't want to think about it at all. Just here,
Yep.
like how much do you like this relative, right? How much do you like this person? It's like, oh yeah, well, but okay, $75. There you go. You got $75. Go spend it on yourself and tell me it was a birthday present. I don't care. Well, I want to see a bank statement that has less than $75 on it, and then I don't want to hear about someone else's birthday anymore. It's like that is what I'm paying for. I'm paying for not acknowledging the other person's birthday ever again. Just here's the money, go away. That's the optimal strategy. Now, when getting gifts, when people ask you, said, I know it's tacky, but it's like either give me money or just don't even bother.
That is pretty tacky. I don't think that
give me fine, give me an Amazon gift card. I'm not a gift. Give me all the gift cards you want. I can spend it like money. Like there's nothing you're gonna get me that I can't get myself. Mm-hmm. So it's like it almost feels like a waste. I'd rather you just not personally. I'd rather just literally don't get me anything. I feel more pressure you getting me something, and it's like, why did you waste that money?
Yeah, I feel a lot of pressure when people ask me what I want for my birthday, or what I want.
I want to be left alone. There you go. It's very cheap.
That's the first thing, right? But like, I feel a lot of pressure to be like, oh yeah, well, maybe I want like a League of Legends hoodie or something, but
right,
but
so
like,
you can't even come up with it, right? It's like,
no, I can't. I cannot on the spot. I had to think about it yesterday, and I couldn't come up with anything great. Like I couldn't come up with anything I really want. We're gonna go to the mall today after the show. And like, I'll pick something out. I'll go splurge a little bit. But like, for the most part, it's very hard for me to tell people what I want. I think that you're wrong about the optimal strategy on what you get, though. I think you're wrong. Because
how can anything be more optimal than actual money?
So I think that actual money is likely obviously the highest ROI standpoint.
The highest EV. It's literally, it's not even expected value. It's the highest actual value.
No. Because
what's more valuable than money?
There's life utils that you have to put into this.
Like what? What you're talking about? Stuff that you can't pay for?
Yeah, like emotional stance and mental stance and stuff you can't.
Shouldn't you be getting that as it is already?
No, well, but there are certain things, right? Like if you can get, like, instead of money, if you were into like jewelry or something like I am, like I really like rings, I really like bracelets, stuff like that.
So buy the rings that you want to buy.
Well, no, but there are certain things that have sentimental value that matter. Like if I could have like my grandpa's ring or something like that, because my grandpa died of cancer a couple of years ago, and I don't have anything to remember him by, really. Like he wasn't really around all that much. If I could have like a ring from him, I think that's a fantastic gift, right? Like that's a really cool thing that I can't just go out and buy myself. That doesn't work.
Why don't you already have his ring?
Why don't I already have it?
Yeah.
Because it has not been gifted to me. That's why it's a cool gift, right? Like, because it needs.
It does exist, but someone else has it.
Right. So, like that kind of thing, I think that's there's a certain level of life utils and value added from sentimental, like something, right? Like it increases the value of something if you can't have it. It's kind of the same thing as the reason why certain like sports cards or memorabilia is more valuable, because there's less of it and it means more to have it, I guess. Like if Michael Jordan were to ever have signed, I don't know, a basketball, and like there's only one basketball that he signed with his signature or whatever, and it's verifiable, that's worth quite a bit more than a basketball that is signed by not Michael Jordan or something.
Or have a signed by me, but I write it as Michael Jordan.
Yeah, see, that's wrong. Like that doesn't work. Yeah, that's forging, and it doesn't work. Like it's not the same. So I think there is something to say about sentimental value when it comes to gifts.
What if I signed the basketball Jordan and then you just assume that it's Michael Jordan?
I'm not sure that I would assume
my first name.
I think that there would have to be an assumption that it is not Michael Jordan before it is Michael Jordan.
Okay, well, my gift that's going to you is you're not going to like.
Oh, is it a basketball?
I didn't even know it was your birthday. I think plenty of us have sent you gifts for your birthday. They're called technical support emails. Can you respond to them?
I have responded to every single technical support email in my email. By the way,
James, normally it's you pasting the columns in the wrong spot.
No, actually, I had a very funny one recently. A really funny one.
The funny is that funny good, funny bad.
Funny bad, really, really bad. And like, if the person is watching
promoting that, the fact that go get our Excel tools, theoryofdfs.com. This is how bad you could screw them up.
Yeah. So this one is really, really funny. If the person is watching this, then I want to say I'm not laughing at you, even though I'm kind of laughing at you. It was so funny.
I'm gonna laugh at him. I'm gonna laugh.
You will laugh
at him. I will.
Yeah, it was really silly. So he sent me an email, a support email that said, "Hey, when I try to trim this under a certain threshold, everything just disappears." And I said, "Okay, yeah. So go ahead and send me the file." And then it was like 1 day later, he sent me the file. And then I open up the file, and it's just the file that you download from the course, right? Like it didn't have any of his stuff loaded into it. It was just the file that I myself created and uploaded to the course.
Right.
All right. So then I respond after about a day, right? This email string goes on for 6 days. I respond after about a day, and I say, "Hey, I need you to send me one that has your stuff uploaded to it so that I can see what the problem is so I can replicate it," right? A day later.
You basically want all the information. When you get to the point where when I press this button, everything disappears. It's like, get to the point right before that.
Right, yeah. Send me the file that is causing this problem with your data uploaded to it. A day later, we're 5 days into this email thread. All right. He sends me the file with it, and I go ahead, and he says that he wants to trim everything under 150% ownership. And he sends me the file, and I click it at 150% ownership, and everything disappears. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's happening. And then I reset it.
Is it because all the lineups are?
Yeah, it's because everything was over 150%.
50, right.
And I send it back to him, and I'm like, you know that every lineup in this portfolio is over 150%, right? And he never responded back to me. And I'm like,
right, because you're telling it, get rid of all the lineups that are over 150% owned. It's like, well, all the lineups are, so they're all gone.
Right? Yeah, so they're gone. Like, this is not a bug. This is a feature. You removed all of your lineups because you think all of them are bad. And like, he never got back to me. And I'm like, you couldn't possibly have not seen this, right? Like, you're trolling me. You have to be trolling me. But that's
no, because James, people don't listen.
That blew my mind. That one specifically, I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, but you're talking about it. I don't know why it blows your mind. James, aren't I supposed to be able to download the custom Excel tools as part of the Theory DFS for advanced players? And shouldn't I just be able to just push buttons and just, well, those are the lineups? And like, I don't understand the concepts of why I'm trimming this or what I'm looking at. It's just that, like, oh, someone told me 150, so I'm just going to put 150 in that spot and press a button.
Yep.
All the lineups are gone. Like what? Like that? You're talking about what 95% of the audience does.
Yeah, that was brutal. It was brutal. But it is what it is. Like, most of the time, I have actually gotten some pretty cool requests and stuff like that for different features that could be added here and there. One of the features that people ask about is if they can trim based on floor and ceiling instead of just median. And I'm like, that does nothing for you. Like, I
don't think it matters that much.
Well, whatever projection source that you pulled from, it does not matter what projection source you pulled from. The floor and the ceiling are related, completely correlated to the median. Like, the derivative of a floor and a ceiling is based on the median. So if you trim or extend this into optimization, if you optimize based on ceiling, it's the same thing as optimizing on median. Like, those should not change by a significant enough amount that it would make a difference in the way that you were trimming or optimizing. Like, you'll get basically the same things.
Right. Some distributions are slightly tilted in one way or the other.
A little bit.
But not dramatically enough that the lineups that you'd be playing wouldn't really change much.
No. The thing, like, if you were to do that for something like NBA, maybe that matters a little bit more. A little bit. Because the
For
distribution...
baseball, it matters almost zero.
Yeah. Baseball, it's basically...
Bimodal distribution, what do I care?
Right. NHL, basically nothing.
Right.
MMA, basically nothing. Bimodal distributions again, like...
Well, truthfully, I mean, in bimodal stuff, the median, I mean, sometimes the median...
Doesn't even matter.
But I mean, it doesn't matter the same way that the ceiling and the floor, like the 15th percentile and 85th percentile.
Right.
You're the error bars on those sides of like once you start adding in correlation and leverage means that like this is James. This is the thing that people don't seem to get about baseball. Okay, about MLB DFS compared to NBA DFS. MLB DFS, like I someone asked me, it's like they've been running sims, right? So they're using the theory of DFS custom Excel tools to eliminate further lineups, like after doing sims or something like that. And they find that lineups that are positive EV, right?
Yeah,
that their sims say are profitable. Some of the lineups are 30, 40 points, median under an optimal lineup.
Yeah.
And is that too much? And I go, no, just that there's less of them. Right? Like you can't think in terms in baseball. You could play a lineup that is 40 points lower than up. How much projection can you make up? Well, I mean, correlation in baseball is 0.3 typically. Yeah, somewhere around there per batter. And if you have 5 of them in your lineup, right, you're going to get like a 30% boost by playing all 5 in your lineup. So that means, like, dude, picture your projection of all 5 players in your lineup. Each of them have 10 points. So that's 50 points. Well, now your projection, technically, from a variance standpoint, is what? 65 to 70 now?
Yep.
Right? So you've made up 15 to 20 points just by having 5 players from the same team in your lineup. Now, let's just say that team, that 5-man stack, is only going to be 3% owned when it should be 6% owned.
Right.
Which means now you're getting leverage. So how much, quote, if you with this theoretical projection, you may be adding another 15 points because you're adding another like maybe 3 points in projection for all 5 batters because of how low owned they are in relation to their projection. You've made up like 25, 30 points in projection to the optimal by doing that, right? Now, the further and further you go down, the less and less lineups that could be possible, right? Oh, I'm giving up 74 points in projection. That's probably a negative EV line, right? There's no. I don't know how much correlation. You're not going to get enough. That lineup isn't going to be so low owned compared to the projection that you're going to make up that many points. So it just comes to a matter of where do the plus EV lineups lie in a range, right? They don't lie up at the top or the bottom, right? The problem with the bottom is easy. It's too low projected. The ones at the top are a little harder to differentiate, but it's because they're too high owned.
Right.
So it's like, what's in the middle? And then the response a lot of times, James, when I tell people this, when I show people this, and I go run your sims, right? On let's start generating 3,000 lineups. Said, I guarantee I'm pretty sure that I could give you probably let's just say like a 12-game MLB slate. I could probably give you at sets of 3,000. I could probably give you, if you give me enough time throughout I'll 30 or 40 sets of those.
Yeah,
right?
Probably. Yeah.
30 or 40 sets of 3,000. Where out of the 3,000, if you ran it through your sims, that 75% of those lineups would come up as profitable.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
and that's not even like, that ignores like the very key point that this is an event-oriented sport where 2 swings of the bat make up that 30 points.
Right.
That's it. That's literally it. There is nothing
one 5-run inning from a team, right?
Yeah, there's nothing in NBA that can make up that much in that little time. And that's why NBA and some of the other more linear sports, like you could say that Call of Duty is similar in that. Like I'm trying to think of esports that have this, but the variance in the way that teams are favored and stuff like that makes it a little bit more difficult. But if you're looking at just like the linear projection, NBA, there's nothing that 2 shots is going to make up a difference of 30 points in an optimal. Like that's why we can do that with MLB. And that's why people
why in NBA, but James, that's why in NBA it's like, oh, can I play lineups that are like 30 points off optimal?
No.
Like, well, I mean, they would have to be ridiculously low. I mean, you remember the 3 levers we talk about it in theory of DFS. You can get the courses. I mean, all of this is talked about.
You could do that for my birthday. It's my birthday. What I think that you should do for my birthday is go buy a copy of both books.
Right, there you go. Right? That'd be the best birthday present for James. Just buy the courses. But we talk about the levers, right? Projection, correlation, and leverage. Mm-hmm. Right? Every lineup you make should have the proper balance of the 3 levers for whatever contest that you're in. The lower and lower that your projection goes, the more you have to make up with correlation and leverage. Now, that gets to a certain point where your projection is so low, even when you take the projection and leverage lever up, I'm playing 0.5% own this guy and 0.1% own that guy. Do I have enough leverage? Probably not. Maybe if the contest had 5 million entries,
right? Maybe
we're starting to get on the cusp of like, yeah, can you win $1 million? Like that type of level. But once you get down to a certain point in projection, correlation and leverage is not going to make up for it. But once you get to the high point of projection, you go, well, I got all this projection. Yeah, but you got no correlation and leverage in your lineup at all. It's like, so what ends up happening? You're playing a lineup that is 700% owned, and your exact lineup is duplicated 12 times in the contest. Like,
right,
you shouldn't be playing that lineup either. So it's the balance of both. Now, once you get this is the hardest part. It's not the hardest part, but what I found fielding questions over the month of April is heuristically people vastly overthink MLB DFS.
Yeah.
I mean, like what I'm saying, and you have to listen. On a 12-game slate, let's just say a normal size MLB slate, I can personally build 60,000 plus EV lineups. Now, they're going to be different. Some will be higher, some will be lower, but they'll all be profitable if we play this out for infinity. I can build 60,000. Well, which I'm only playing 20. Which 20 should I play? You could technically, if you want, any 20 you choose will be profitable.
Yeah, any of them. Just go for
it. Any of them will be some will have high variance, some will have low variance, some will have more min cash equity, some will have more, like the distribution of the outcomes may be slightly different. But from that point, the 60,000 lineups that you could choose from, like as long, what is the reason that the 60,000 lineups I can make are profitable? It's primarily because 25% of the lineups in the contest are heavily negative EV.
Oh, and it's more than that.
And it's typically more. Typically, they're 30, 33% of lineups, depending on the field size and the stakes level. That's the main reason. It's just basically these 60,000 lineups have correlation, have some leverage, and have some projection. And you're 30% of the lineups in your contest are missing one of those, are either way too high projected, so they're way too high owned, or they're way too low projected, low owned, but they have no correlation. So it's like they're giving up 20 points in theoretical projection, and they're not gaining. Like, dude, You could play the same own lineup just with 5 guys from the same team instead of just 5 random people. It's like I'm beating those lineups also. So it's like, how many of those lineups that aren't bad can you make? Right? Well, you can make 60,000 of them. And it's like, well, I'm only playing 20. I'm only playing 3. It's like you can randomly choose all, like you could literally randomly choose all the lineups from that point. Right? And you go, well, how do I make the 60? And then people will send me. It's like, well, take a look at the lineups that I made. And I go, yeah, all your lineups are good. And I would look at them from a slate that I played, and I go, looks like all your lineups are good. It's like, yeah, but if you were to choose 5 out of these, it's like whatever way you want.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I have.
Someone sent me their like they played 150 and said there be a way for me to make my lineups even better. I go, not that it would be worth more than about half a second of your time. No.
Right.
Said, yeah. Can they be better? Yes. I would suggest that you I would say get a degree from MIT. Like take that time, spend the 4 years in college, right? Get your PhD, right? Learn how to develop a sophisticated algorithm with like, dude, you could do this more precisely. It's like, but how much is that worth? To you? How much time is that worth to you? And in order to do that, you need a skill set that I currently don't have, and you probably don't have. So if you want to, you could pursue that. But there's no further. What more blunt things can I do? It's like, no, the more blunt things you add to your process, the less and less accurate it gets. Right? You go, well, now how do I choose between, like, dude, it's not worth it. Like, it's literally not worth it. The differences are not worth it.
Yeah.
I can tell you for a fact, 100%, that the highest EV lineups, the highest expected value lineups in large field contests of any slate is a stack against an 80% owned pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the highest EV lineups. By far. So like Spencer Strider is 1,000,000% owned. He's 85% owned. And they're facing the Marlins or whatever. If you want to play the highest EV 150 lineups, you'd play 150 Marlins stacks. Okay? Now understand that to realize your EV, you're either going to come in like first place or you're going to come in last place. Like none of those lineups are going to be like, well, I have min cash. So I'm like, no, it's going to be like one or the other. So if you're going to put in $2,250 to max enter the $15 contest, you're going to lose all your money probably 200 or 300 times before you win once. So like if you have that $6 million bankroll and you want to play 150 of those lineups, go for it. Have fun, right? Those are the highest EV lineups. The question is, how many of those do you really want to play from a risk management perspective? You can. If you have a $6 billion bank, go find the highest EV lineups and play them, right? But if you don't, like then what? Once you concede the fact that you're not going to play the highest EV lineups, what does it matter if this lineup's EV is $1.24 and this lineup's EV is $1.26? So you know how you realize the extra 2 cents? You'll notice that in your Roto Tracker about 70 years from now, right? Like to put these points, like I'm highlighting these things in order to make it very clear so you listen and understand why that a season of baseball is like grains in the sand. Like, I don't know how James, you hear me exaggerate all the time. I need to exaggerate just so, I mean, I got like a DM like the other day of like with prize picks and underdog stuff and whatever. It's like, yeah, I've been doing exactly what you're doing for 3 weeks and it hasn't been going very well. I said, yeah, it's been past 3 weeks have been kind of break even.
Yeah.
But it's like just the fact that you said, I've been doing your stuff for 3 weeks. I go, okay, come back to me in 3 years.
Yeah.
Right. It was like 3 weeks. It's like the fact that you said 3 weeks means that you still don't listen. That you still don't like, dude, someone could play DFS for 10 years as the greatest DFS player ever and be negative.
Yep.
That's within one standard deviation. Okay, so just you have to grasp what variance is. Variance is absurdly huge, and the sample sizes that we are dealing with are so small. Well, I've played every slate every day for 3 years. I said, yes, that's a very small sample size. You go, that's like 5,000 slates. I go, yes, that is a very small sample size. I wouldn't even consider it a small sample size. I will consider it a very small sample size. Come back to me when you've played 2 million contests. They go, well, even if I live 50 lifetimes, I wouldn't be able to play. They go, yes, but that would be a reasonable. That wouldn't even be a large sample size. That would be a reasonable sample size once you take into account the variance of large field GPPs in DFS. Like that would be that wouldn't even be a large sample size. That wouldn't even be a large one. That would still be tons of variance. That you could play 50 lifetimes of every single DFS slate that has ever existed for large field GPPs and still be not even within one standard deviation of your true ROI. Like, just please grasp that. One season of football, 17, 18 weeks, is like in the span of a universe, like a blink. You go, well, what did I do during that blink? It's like, dude, anyone that won over that 18-week period, 90+% of it, probably lucky.
I said in a coaching strategy the other day, like somebody was trying to compare their NFL results and be like, oh, well, I don't think that I'm very good at NFL. I had a down season. The last 2 seasons haven't been great. I'm like, bro, 18 weeks. It's 2 weeks of MLB. Like you're not going to judge how good you are at baseball over the last 2 weeks. You're not going to judge it. Imagine playing NFL for 10 years, having 180 slates. That's not even a full MLB season. Like that's barely enough to even judge if you have been able to do well in a baseball season. And you're not even going to be able to tell from your auto tracker. So people just underestimate.
You're not even going to be able to tell if you've been top 1% because even in GPP, because it's just 40 slates. I mean, like the best way to judge in the very small sample sizes is literally looking at actual lineups.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, am I building bad? Like, I'm getting back to this point of all you have to do is not build the bad lineups, and you're already beating a quarter of the field.
Yep.
If you want to say a third, sometimes it's a third. Sometimes it's only 15%. But once more than the people that are much more than the rake are bad lineups, you're essentially playing for free.
Yep.
Right? Essentially, you're not paying the rake. So as long as you're average amongst everyone else, you're just splitting the other people's money for the most part. Right? So, like, what are the bad lineups? Bad lineups are too high owned or too low projected. So are you playing lineups that are too high owned or too low projected? No. Then you're probably fine. You're probably fine. Right? Well, I'm not playing. Like, do your lineups look to some extent like some of the sharpest players' lineups? Not an exposure, because that's a risk management feature of a portfolio. If you look and you go, well, I played a whole bunch of Tom Brady stacks, and I played a bunch of. It's like, go to 20 people that you respect, and go, did they play a bunch of Brady? Take a look at their Brady lineups. Did their Brady lineups kind of look like your Brady lineups? It's like, oh, these Brady lineups didn't have the 40% owned running back in it. And you go, well, my running backs, I didn't have a 40. Then you're doing fine. Yeah, but I lost 90% that week. So that's not how you judge.
Yeah.
Right? That's a product of variance. So when I say that, study other players' lineups, that's what I mean. Not, did they play a lot of they played 80% of this guy, and I only played 10% of that guy. It's like, that's not what you're looking for. You look at the lineups that have that player in it, right? Look at the combinations and look at the lineups that you played. Because remember, especially in MLB, you can make 7 billion lineups. Dude, a lot of these lineups, the difference in EV is barely anything. So it's like, well, I played a ton of Yankee stacks, right? And this sharp player barely played any Yankee stacks. So I did something wrong. I said, no, take a look at their Yankee stacks. Do the Yankee stack lineups look like your lineups? The answer is yes. Then they just chose to play less of the Yankee stacks. That doesn't mean that your lineups are bad, and vice versa. Now, if you look at their Yankee stacks and it's like, well, in their Yankee stacks, they didn't play the 2 chalk pitchers, right? And their total ownership was 120. My Yankee stacks, I played the 2 chalk pitchers. My total ownership was 212. You probably screwed up, right? Didn't matter if the Yankees went off or the chalk pitchers went off, or just like, dude, the Yankees were obviously more owned than you thought, or they're over-owned. And the reason why you look at sharp players' lineups and you're like, oh, all of this person's Yankee stacks don't have one of the chalk pitchers in it. This person's Yankee stacks don't have one of the chalk pitchers in it. This one, and you start to get like, oh, I think my Yankee stacks were too high owned for what they were, because so many other sharp people, even if they only played 3 out of 150 as Yankee stacks, take a look at their Yankee stack lineups and go, what is the projection? What is the ownership? And you go, oh, I played lineups that were way lower projected than their Yankee stack lineups, or I played lineups that were way higher owned than their Yankee stack lineups, and go, oh, I think I screwed up these lineups maybe a little bit, right? That, to me, that's more of how you judge, right? So when I say studying other people's lineups, it's not about exposures. Now, a byproduct of playing that projection versus ownership game is that you will be more likely to get more exposure to players that are theoretically underowned, and you're more likely to get less exposure to players that are theoretically underowned. If this guy, he's 70% owned and he shouldn't be, you're probably not going to play as many of those lineups. You could if you want, but you're probably not going to play as many of those. So if you want to judge someone's 150, if they are playing exploitatively, you could say who was over on, like, oh, I had a lot of this guy because I thought he was underowned. And you see, 6 sharp players, they're also were heavily exposed to that player. You'd be like, and they play exploitatively. You go, okay, I made the right assessment on that player. I think lineup assessments are worth more than player assessments, because we play with lineups, not players. So when you're studying other people's lineups, this is what you should be looking at, and not thinking in terms of, well, I lost 80% last, or like the past 4 weeks, minus 17% or something. Like these are such small sample sizes that you'd learn more by just making sure you're not building bad lineups.
Yep.
And as long as the first step is, if you're not building bad lineups, all you're doing is now competing with the rest of us. That's table stakes, right? You're competing now. These 20 or 30% of lineups are seeding all this equity to the field, right? To the sharper players that are building good lineups. And now we're fighting over that. And who gets more of that, right? The better players will get more of that, but you'll still get some. Mm-hmm. So as long as you're doing that, like if you just got to that point, which is not difficult to get to, especially in MLB, and you never want to do anything ever again, that's perfectly fine, right? Right, Jed? Like at that point, it's just, okay, 180 slates this year. Let me play every slate. I'm going to play 20 lineups. I'm going to randomly pick the 20 out of the 60,000 that I can make, and just like close my eyes and let's see what the results are after 180 slates. I mean, like that's MLB DFS.
Yeah, for the most part. Yep. I mean, we talked about that. We talked about it before the season started, that MLB DFS, like, you could literally build lineups through heuristics. You don't even need you don't even need projection sets to build good lineups in MLB.
Well, I think hold on. I want to rephrase that before you continue. Okay. You don't need projections in order to not build bad lineups.
I was going to say
that's a better way of putting. Because
I was going to say that you can use projections to build great lineups, but you can still build good, not great lineups without projections or anything like that. Like just using heuristics. I think that it's fair to say not
more precise and less precise. I don't using terms like good and great. I'm not a big fan of.
Well,
so the point that you're making is like we had an episode right before the season on one of these Mondays. It's probably tagged. Where like if you didn't have anything, like no tools, no nothing, no projections, no nothing. Like if you simply played the two highest price pitchers right?
Mm-hmm.
And stacked 5 guys from a team, no matter what team it is, but most probably a team that has a high implied team total, right? And he just did that, you'd probably be profitable in MLB DFS.
Yeah.
As far as GPPs, obviously we don't not talking about double ups or anything like that.
Yeah, we don't.
But
We don't talk about
purely in the reasonably sized to large sized GPPs. That, like, I don't know any of these pitchers. I don't even know how baseball is played. But most likely, the more expensive pitchers, are going to be the ones that have a higher raw point projection. Right? Yeah, you have some slates where the $7,600 pitcher technically projects for higher than the 10K pitcher. But as a general heuristic, if you just like, I'm playing the 2 10K pitchers that are on the slate, and then I'm looking at the totals of all the teams, and I'm like, oh, this team has about a 4.7 or 5 total, and I can fit all these 5 guys in these spots. I'm going to play that, and then the 3 one-offs, there's whatever's left. Like whatever. Well, like literally whatever's left. Like if you literally just did that, you are no longer building a bad lineup.
Right.
Now it's not now with projections, you can be much more precise. Right? The lineup that you just built with those 2 token name pitchers, you have no projections, no ownership, no nothing. You'd build and go, yeah, from a heuristic standpoint, this is not one of the bad 30% of the lineups in the contest. But out of the 70% of lineups that are left, it's probably also towards the bottom of that.
Yeah.
Right? Because your lineup is like, oh wow, I'm paying 2K too much for this pitcher, right? This stack, like, oh, this would be so much better. Oh, the $2,700 shortstop projects decently, so I should have that play. Like, then once you have projections and you have something like Lineup HQ and you're building lineups, then you could build. It's like, oh, I could change one of those pitchers and build that 5-man stack with 5 different players from that team and gain 7 points in median projection while giving up almost no ownership.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, well, that's the point of the projection, right? Like, that's the point of the projections. That's the point of doing all that. But even if you don't do that, you're facing 25%, 30%, 20%, whatever lineups that it's a 2-1-1-1-1-1 with a 2% owned pitcher and overpaying for someone, or like these lineups that they're sacrificing so much for nothing, that like that lineup that you made heuristically with no projections and no ownership, as long as you stick, it's probably better. It's better than them. So if you're already at that point, it's like, well, I already built all my lineups, and how do I select a better 20? Like, do you know how fruitless that pursuit is using blunt methodologies? It's like, well, this one has this guy in it, that one has this catcher. It's like, dude, you're just rearranging deck chairs. Like, it doesn't, unless you have an advanced, some type of simulation methodology where you can now take those lineups and compare them to a simulated set of lineups that you'd be competing against, and then still determine that one lineup is significantly more profitable than another lineup, then you could do it. Because let me tell you, I know people that run those types of sims, and a lot of times most times the difference of should I play this lineup or this lineup is like a fraction of a penny.
Right.
You see it as, well, I'm playing this 2v2, and like the lineup looks almost wholly different. Of like, well, this is a twin stack, and that's a Yankee stack, and this has this pitcher, and it's like, nope. Theoretically, the EV is like a fraction of a penny apart. Said, well, what happens if we simulated it? Like, how about this lineup? It's like, yeah, about a fraction of a penny apart. It's like, how about this lineup? About a fraction of a penny. Like, so it's like, yeah, where does all the money come from? The money comes from all the bad lineups.
Yep.
So the profitability of your lineups are more likely to come by the more bad lineups there are than by you having like, well, do I play this first baseman in my stack, or do I leave the one off and play Vlad and play the outfield? Do I play George Springer or Vlad Guerrero as my expensive Blue Jay in my stack? Like, dude, you're overthinking this.
Yeah,
like you do either, like you're really truly not increasing anything, right? That is worth spending that much time on, right? And even if you had the ability to simulate it, you'd see that's like, wow, I spent 4 years learning how to build this program to tell me that that I would see the differences between these two lineups in my ROI in about 70 lifetimes. Right. In
And on a
70
more
lifetimes, I would be able to buy another 6-pack.
on a more blunt scale, you can use the tools in Theory of DFS for advanced players and simulate the lineups against each other.
Right. You could do that also.
And find out how
I mean, it's a
often they
Monte
beat each other.
Carlo sim. It's not a contest sim.
No, it's but I mean, still, I said it in a more blunt plane. You can simulate these lineups against each other, and you can see lineup A that is completely different from lineup B only beats lineup B 3% of the time. Just play one. It's gonna be okay. Or play both. Play both.
Right. Or both. Right. They both could be fine.
That's the other thing. That's a serious pet peeve of mine that I've developed over the last like 6 months or so. Is people saying, well, which one of these lineups should I play? And like in my early days of content creation, I'd like go through the reasons why one is different from the other. And, you know, maybe this one is better for this one. But now I'm just like, just play both, dude. Just get another entry somewhere. Oh, well, I'm playing single entry. Fine. Go enter it into another single entry.
Or just random.org. Random.org. Go type in 1 or 2. Whichever comes up.
No, don't even do that. Don't even do that. Just play both. And the reason to play both is so that you cannot then tilt after the slate and say, "Oh, I should have gone with the other one." Just play both.
Right.
Play both.
Well, you should be learned enough that you wouldn't tilt over that type of thing.
Yeah, but that's one of the pet peeves of the last 6 months.
Okie doke. So hit that like button for James's birthday, for crying out loud. Kanehara, poo poo poo. Smash. What does that mean? I want to look. I'm gonna open up a new tab. Kanehara. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Kanehara. Poo. Yiddish. How do you put Kanena? I don't even know what would you even Kanehara? No. Kanehara? No. I have no idea. Kane, Ain, Hara. Okay. The 3 most important Jewish words. Let me take a look. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Now I know. Okay. Kane, Ain, Hara. It literally means no evil eye. And it basically functions as like, it's like saying knock on wood.
Okay. That makes sense.
Right.
Makes sense. Duck21, you can get coaching sessions. If you go over to paydirdfs.com, there's a coaching link. Sign up for a coaching either with one of the coaches on the site or with me. My schedule is very limited, but I'm always happy to take on coach clients when I have time.
I do coaching. I do group coaching as part of RotoGrinders Premium.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday afternoon is our next coaching session. It's basically just a Zoom call. You could ask me whatever you want. Right, I'm there. You could show me your screen. You could do whatever you want. Sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. Click on that link in the description. Get $10 off your first month for that. But I think the best coaching you could get is just theoryofdfs.com.
I agree.
Right. It's 21 hours of audio in total and Excel tools that both me and James do use.
Yeah.
Right.
There's not a single thing.
They're efficiency tools.
Yeah.
You get that in Lineup HQ. I don't see, like, you do nothing more than what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I've been profitable in DFS for going on 8 years now.
Yeah. Yep. There's not a single thing that I can teach anybody that's not in those courses.
Right. Anything that we'd be saying would be a repeat of what's in this. Right. And then it's just a matter of surviving variance, James.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Just play long enough. Just play a lot.
Right. My best baseball seasons are ones where I've lost 90+% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what it is.
My best and worst baseball seasons are seasons.
Right. Well, right. They're the same thing. Right. Right. Like last year's baseball season was my worst baseball season.
Yeah.
And I got like what, 17 top 20s.
Just brutal stuff, truly.
But it was brutal because it doesn't mean anything if you're not coming in like the top 3.
Right. It doesn't. No.
Came in second one out of the 17 times or whatever it was. Came in second once. Every other time was 5th
like
through
8th, 7th.
Right.
8th.
A lot. Oh, God. 6th.
There was like, I remember there was a 2-week stretch where you placed 7th like 3 times.
Right. I think I placed 7th or 8th like 3 times in 1 week.
And the worst part of that, because I had that was me like a week and a half ago. I placed like 5th, 7th, and 11th in the 121.
Right, you're not going to be you're not gonna, like that's. It sounds like, oh, isn't that great? It's like, no, actually, that like that you're like break even for the season.
No, yeah, and you know what happens now is because I didn't place first in those over the last week, where my variance has gone the other way. Like when you have that, the reason why it's so tilting, the reason why you hear people like me and Jordan say when we get 7th or 9th or whatever, we know that we're not going to run like that forever. Like there's certain portions of the season where if you don't hit, your season is probably screwed. You're probably not going to end up having a profitable season. So when Max Scherzer got ejected, I knew that my season is maybe shot right there. The margins are so thin, man.
But the margin's so thin because of the payout structure. Because it's like, oh, well, first place is $20,000 or $50,000, and then 7th place is $350. And it's like, really?
Yep.
Really? Yep. So hit the smash all the buttons. Smash theoryofdfs.com. Go pay for James's birthday. Buy him a copy of his own course, of our own course, for yourself. Mm-hmm. Right. Theoryofdfs.com. Get the fundamentals masterclass as well as the advanced players guide. 21 hours of audio in combination, as well as the Excel tools, which work for Excel 2021 and beyond. And if you have any problems, you could always email James at theoryofdfs.com, or me. Send in your questions. Remember, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The show is guided by your questions, right? It's not structured like the course, right? So if you want just explanations of whatever, we skip around, we talk about different subjects. You have questions, I have answers. Email them in, questions@theoryofdfs.com, and I'll answer them, because that's what I do here, right? That's what I do here, Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern, on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.